This week's episode of Still Untitled is brought to you by Orbi. Wi-Fi is something you really don't think about until you don't have it or it's not working properly. Video's buffering, there's Wi-Fi dead zones, everyone's home for the holidays fighting for Wi-Fi. So when did you last upgrade your Wi-Fi at home? If you just want better Wi-Fi everywhere, check out the Orbi Wi-Fi system from Netgear. With Orbi, you can enjoy super strong, fast, and more reliable home Wi-Fi from your basement to your backyard. Change your Wi-Fi world. Get Orbi, that's O-R-B-I, Wi-Fi system from Netgear. And you can learn more at netgear.com/Orbi. Now on with the show.
Welcome to Still Untitled, the Adam Savage Project. I'm Will.
I'm Adam.
And I'm Norm.
Hey guys, how's it going this morning? Good times with technology, huh?
We just spent what
20 minutes, 22 minutes.
20 minutes just trying to use multiple programs on multiple computers just so we can talk.
We are reasonably smart people, I think, as a group. I think we can all agree, highs and lows, but we're okay and we're pretty good at technology. So the stuff that we use to record while you're remote, Adam, just in case, not an endorsement, but we use Zencaster and Skype so we can see each other and know when to interrupt. And it usually works, I would say, okay, even though your recording situation is often not ideal, and internet in the cave where Norm is sometimes a little spotty. My internet's sometimes a little spotty. But sometimes everything just doesn't work. And last week the sound quality wasn't great because of reasons that were kind of outside of our control. Today we kind of just nothing worked. It was just bad.
We can't figure out why Zencaster thinks that the terabyte of free space on my hard drive is only 60 megabytes.
Yep. Norm's internet connection has been dropping up and down, so his audio's in and out and his video's in and out, and that's not working great. I feel like when I was just complaining about how much I spent on my laptop, and then it's like the worst thing that ever happened to phone calls is this. I hate talking on the phone. Like, none of this technology does what it was originally slated to do anymore. Well, go ahead.
You don't hate the idea of talking on the phone.
No, I hate the latency and the lag and the bullshit of the modern phone.
Right.
Well, so this is one of those things. Like, remember in the 80s when Candace Bergen was on TV talking about how you could hear a pin drop on the phone?
Yeah.
And I mean, we're getting dangerously near Andy Rooney territory here. But everything is nothing. The more complex things get, the less likely they are to work. Like, Windows on my machine just every once in a while, for some reason, just won't boot. You press the button, it runs halfway through the boot, the little dot, the circle of waiting freezes, and then the only thing you can do is reboot, and I have to reset a bunch of settings to make it come back up. And I've been building computers for 20 years. I used to run a magazine entirely about building computers. I am good at building computers. And the fact that I can't get shit to work it means that there are some larger problems out there in terms of like where we are with technology.
I would also point out that we've had MP3 players now for 20 some odd years, and iTunes, I'm not exaggerating here, iTunes is a scourge on humanity. There's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna introduce you to look, I have an iPhone. I came back to an iPhone from Android despite the OS being the worst part of that experience. The hardware is really nice. The OS is a flaming hot mess right now.
What's
Go
the
get
feature
Spotify.
creep?
You're going to be really happy with it.
I understand Spotify. The problem I have is that I own over 16,000 songs on this, and every time I open it up, the stupidest cheapo solitaire program I have on this phone remembers the game I was playing 5 months ago. But iTunes every morning says, we have no idea what you were just listening to. What playlist? Why didn't you choose from scratch every single time?
My favorite part about that is sometimes I get in the car and it connects to the stereo in my car and it's like, oh, I'm going to start playing the same U2 song that you've literally never asked me to play every day for 6 months. Then it just stops for no apparent reason. So if you have a solution for any of these problems and you're listening at home, we would love to hear them.
Oh, hey,
love.
And if your solution is ditch the iPhone and go to Android, you're not helping. That's not
It's a pretty good solution.
There's always trade-offs and stuff like that. And yeah, it is about what works for you. What I am complaining about is not my use of the phone. It's Apple engineers trying to get me to go to the cloud, and I'm not going to the cloud.
Well, so
it's the business model.
Most of the problems with their stuff, though, having been on Android recently, just come back, are that they insist on being the defaults for like key pieces of functionality. The fact that I can't say I want Amazon Music or Spotify or Random Player X to be the default music player and never see your bullshit bad thing again is that's on them, and that's a choice that they make, and they do it for business reasons, and it's bad. Anyway.
Yeah.
How's the tour, Adam? You having fun?
The tour is great. The tour is really great. The audiences are outrageously awesome. We performed last night in Minneapolis. I had, I know a large number of people in Minneapolis, so I had a wonderful brunch with Bill Corbett and Kevin Murphy from Riff Tracks, with Anna Marie Cox and her husband, and Maggie Coerth Baker and her husband all came out to lunch, and we had a fantastic brunch. And then the show was off the hook. The Minneapolis audience was insane. It was just the best show.
Maggie is one of my favorite Twitter follows, because she posts the most interesting, weird, good, fun science stuff. And she wrote several years ago, I think we even talked about it on the podcast, a book about how the energy, the best book I read about how the power grid works in the U.S. I'll look it up in a second and post the name, but it's, if you ever wondered how electricity gets from the nuclear power plant or the coal plant or the solar farm or whatever to your house, and why solar is interesting, why wind's interesting, and all that stuff, she really breaks it down. It's a fascinating. She's a great science writer.
She's wonderful.
And now she writes a column on 538.
Yep, and she's got a fantastic article right now, 4,000 words on pandas having sex, and I'm here to tell you it's brilliant.
She talks about the horniest panda. It's very good. Before the Lights Go Out is Maggie's book, and I highly recommend it. It's a great Christmas gift.
I have been waiting to bring something up with you guys just to get a little more data.
Uh-oh.
No, this is a cool observation. I have been touring. I've been touring with a stage show around the country since 2012 with many different versions of different stage shows. But for the most part, similar size audiences, between 2,000 and 3,000 people. Every night I do meet and greets. It used to be for 50 people. Now it's for over 100 people every night. And the meet and greet is one of my favorite parts of the evening. The interaction with fans is great. We take photos with everybody. And as you can imagine, pretty much for the entire time since 2012, the primary photo machine is this. It's everybody's phone. Yeah. You know, there is the odd NES controller or whatever Game Boy actually has a camera built into it, and the odd shoe and whatever. And DSLRs, and DSLRs maybe showed up once per meet and greet. You know, one geeky guy who had to take his DSLR out. And, like, I totally respect that. I'm that guy. But on this tour, for the first, and this wasn't on the spring tour with Michael Stevens, but on this tour, I'm here to tell you 30% of the cameras in every meet and greet are actual digital cameras, not phones.
Like point and shoots or DSLRs?
Point and shoots, little point and shoots, Polaroids, DSLRs, the whole gamut. 1/3 of the cameras taking photos at meet and greets now are real cameras, and I have no explanation for it.
Well, one of my daughter's friends has like a little, it's like that pocket snap Polaroid that makes the little wallet size Polaroids, and like she takes that everywhere. She's super into it, and like to her, a photo that you can have a thing out of immediately after is super, super fascinating, and the kids get a huge kick out of it. They're like, "This is the coolest thing in the world. You don't have to have it. I don't have to have mom's phone to see this."
Yeah, it's totally amazing to me. It feels like I'm witnessing the ground level of some interesting cultural moment. And I don't know whether it's that everyone's sliding back towards analog. The fact is that of a standard kind of mid-level point and shoot, this camera is as good. So I don't know why. I mean, maybe people are holding on to older phones for longer, and the photo quality of those is annoying them, so they're investing $150 in a little point and shoot.
I mean, it could be that they want 4K video and the phones aren't super great at that yet. Maybe, I don't know. That's really interesting.
Question: are they using flash or no flash?
That depends. Every meet and greet is, we're always at the mercy of the venue and what the place they have to take photos. For the most part, it's bright enough. So it's not that they're specifically bringing a flash to the equation.
Or low light, or looking for a DSLR with low light capabilities. Huh. I wonder if it's a venue
isn't
type
that
policy.
Fascinating?
Yeah, that is. Because it's not an easy thing to bring a big camera.
Oh.
Well, Adam's team probably decides what cameras they can bring in, right?
Yeah, we actually tell people to bring cameras to the meet and greet, but our announcement about the meet and greet requirements has not changed.
Huh.
That's fascinating.
That's really interesting. I'm like, so for a while I carried that NEX R3. I can't remember what it is, but the R5. We had the same mirrorless for a while. Norm had one of them as well. And like I've carried that around off and on for 5 years now, and it's been a fabulous camera. But, and I guess if I were coming to your show, that would, like, I bring it out for special occasions. So we went to Color Factory. I took the good camera. We went to the Museum of Ice Cream. We went to the zoo for lights or Halloween or whatever. I took the good camera. Yeah, it's interesting. It's an
I've actually
observation.
I've just done the opposite switch, where for the past couple years, I've only wanted to carry a DSLR. And recently, with the new iPhone 10 and being able to shoot RAW photos on that with a third-party app, it's been completely satisfactory, and I've been 100%. I don't feel like I'm missing out on the quality of images.
Speaking of iPhone 10, Norm, were you the one that told me about the depth camera app? The one that lets you see the depth of the Focus, FOCOS. That thing is incredible. So you can take the depth pictures from the iPhone 10 or presumably the 7 Plus as well, right?
And 8 Plus, yep.
And the 8 Plus, yeah. And you can rotate them so you can see the slices that the depth camera gives the picture. And it is fascinating. Like I haven't Focus, FOCOS is how you spell it. Yeah. It's a couple of bucks, I think. Maybe it has microtransactions. So what else is going on? Let's see. I watched. We talked about Thor last week, I guess.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I want to hear about your Thanksgivings. We haven't talked about your Thanksgivings because last time we talked was before Thanksgiving.
That's right.
Adam, you want to go first?
Sure. I celebrated Thanksgiving in lovely London, Ontario, north of the border. And my mom flew up from New York to spend the day with me, and we actually went and saw Thor Ragnarok together. I took her for my second time. She loved it.
What is she caught up? Like, does she know what's going on? Did you have to give her the briefer beforehand?
Nah, she went in cold. Like, she loved it.
Watch the muscle boys punch each other.
Exactly.
Okay.
And then we had a delicious dinner at her hotel, and she came and saw the show. So it was lovely. The rest of my family, the boys and Julia, were all in San Francisco with a bunch of good friends. I was sad not to be there, but they sent me lots of pictures of the celebration. So yeah, my Thanksgiving was on the road, but still quite lovely. How about yours?
Let's see. We had 11 people total over, so I cooked an enormous bird in counter to what Kenji recommends. So I spatchcocked a 24-pound turkey and then deboned the thighs and did the Julia Child / America's Test Kitchen thing, where you stuff the thighs with sage and salt and pepper and then roulade them up. And it's an amazing thing because like the breast is perfect when you do it that way, but the thigh goes first now at my house, which has never happened before. Like people take these slices of thighs and they're usually gone by the end of the first round, which is awesome because they're like inch thick pieces of really moist, dark turkey meat with the flavoring and salt and pepper inside. It's really good. But we ate outside. Our house was too small for 11 people inside. So we got some tables from a place down in the Mission by you. and went out, set up outside, and ate in the backyard. And it was a beautiful fall day, and it was the best Thanksgiving we had in a really long time. So it was really exciting.
Lovely.
Really,
That's great.
Norm, how was Indiana?
Indiana was cold and awesome, and I love going to Midwest because it really shows me a different part of America and just how spaced everything is far apart. I love just looking at how big people's front yards can be in cities like that.
Look,
Yeah.
you have a 3 foot by 9 foot stretch of grass out there. That's a pretty substantial front yard. There's a tree. It's very nice. What was what we might have talked about this before, but what are your guys' family, like, what are your classic dishes? What are the things what's the one piece of food that screams Thanksgiving to you?
For me, it's that I make mashed potatoes. That's my dish.
Okay.
Julia tends to take on the turkey, but mashed potatoes I'm a mashed potato savant. I don't have a recipe. I literally use mashed potatoes. I like to use the smaller ones, like small Goldens or small Reds. I heat them until they're soft enough for me. I mash them up with the skins. I add some milk, some butter, and some salt, and maybe some sour cream, and that's it.
Interesting.
I don't have a specific amount I add of each of those things. It is all by feel, and I'm here. My mashed potatoes are the best mashed potatoes.
Very good. Norm?
It's another meat. We make a turkey, but my dad loves making prime rib. So he gets a giant prime rib, and we have that for Thanksgiving as well. And so that's what I always associate. Lots of garlic.
Oh, that sounds really
good.
For me, it's the pies. Like, I love the pies. The pumpkin pie is the most Thanksgiving thing in the world, and I usually make 2 or 3 of them because, like, they go. Pumpkin pie moves on Thanksgiving, man. But yeah, that's another one for me. Always used to be the canned recipe for me, and then maybe 10 or 12 years ago, I started using the America's Test Kitchen one, which is it is an exceptional pie recipe, highly recommended. So
that's really cool.
One of the great things that I got to do over Thanksgiving is on one of our free days, we went to visit an indoor antique market. So it's like a flea market, and I'd never been to one of these before, but like a 3-story building where it's like they're basically stalls, but it's not it all looks like one really set decorated space, but essentially they're like 10 by 10 cubicles of people who bring all their stuff, and everything is tagged. And I could spend like 2 hours in there just wandering, and every stall has almost its own theme, because whatever that collector or whatever that person has accumulated, whatever their specialty is at, and it was basically empty the day after Thanksgiving, and wandering through that was wonderful.
Wonderful.
What did you get? Did you get anything good?
Oh yeah.
What did we get? We looked for paint by numbers, so we got a few of those, and got some vintage puzzles. Which I also like.
Nice.
When I first moved to San Francisco, that was one of the things. Like, I was like, hey, I need to get some furniture. Where's an antique store or junk shop? And somebody sent me someplace up in Pacific Heights, and I was like, oh, this isn't exactly what I was looking for. This is nice stuff. This isn't what I mean. Not that there isn't nice stuff in the antique mall usually, but like you need that mix. You like the San Francisco. If this is the range of antique shops, San Francisco antique shops start like right here and go all the way up to the top, and not exactly what you need I love going to like junk shops and antique stores, especially down in the South. You find such amazing stuff that people have just thrown out and or want rid of. It's really good. Very cool. Well,
have you been to a couple of those, Adam, on the road?
On this tour, no, but Norm, Antique Mall is the search term I have found that is the highest percentage for a cool place to go look at a bunch of weird stuff in any city you go to. Like, there is no higher percentage because antique malls exist all over the country. and I love them. I love wandering through them. It's a place where I found a lot of great old tools, old signs. It's great for Christmas shopping. Yeah, they're fantastic.
And you get a sense of the trends between the eras. Like, oh, everyone had that Darth Vader mask in the 80s, and it's in like half a dozen stalls. Where everyone had this type of, this thing was very popular in the 60s. So it's like archaeological almost.
Yeah, exactly.
What was there more pop culture-y stuff in this in the one in Indianapolis, Norm? Or was it a lot of furniture and stuff?
No, definitely a lot of pop culture, a lot of Christmas, different various Santa things. There was definitely one shop that was Stranger Things influence, like dress like the 80s, here are clothes that could be right out of Stranger Things. But another place I discovered, and actually in San Francisco, Adam, you got to stop by this. It's a recent discovery. This past weekend, I found a pop-up store in the Richmond district. So San Francisco, there was a guy named Ray Anderson who was the owner of a vinyl store, a record store on Market Street, and he passed away late last year at like late 70s. But he was a longtime collector of all sorts of ephemera, and so his family, his daughter and a son-in-law, have now opened a pop-up store that's a different theme every month. It's called Treasure Hunters Club. And basically they go through the two big storage units he had and his house and pull out things that are of a certain theme. So this month is science fiction themed. And so it's basically a pop-up store of old like Star Trek, Star Wars novels, old vintage paperbacks, lunchboxes, robots, toys that this guy collected in his life, and they were sharing that with the world and selling it off, but they get to discover through his collection. And it was just, I was there for an hour and bought like $150 worth of things because found so many rare things I'd never seen in person.
Is this stuff for sale, or is it just like a showcase?
No, all for sale.
Oh, fascinating. I gotta go check this out. This sounds great. Huh. What's your eating been like this trip, Adam? Any notable culinary experiences?
Well, I got to enjoy some poutine in Toronto. Again,
squeaky curds.
Amazing, such delicious food. I have not been exploring as much on this tour. There's been a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes. The Savage EDC1 bag, the first bunch shipped yesterday. More are shipping out this week. So I've had a tremendous amount to do to get ready for that. There's been a bunch of other projects that are on the back, not the back burner, but again, behind the scenes that I've been working on and dealing with. So it's been a very, very work heavy tour. And haven't done a lot of exploring or eating out. I am enjoying the post-show meal of like local pizza, or actually a couple of nights ago, geez and crow, where were we? We were...
You got to look at the back of the guitar, Adam.
Yeah, I know. It's ridiculous. We were in a place where there was a Chinese restaurant / pizza joint that had pizza that was... We had a General Tso's pizza and a crab rangoon pizza, and they were unbelievably delicious, like ridiculously good. They served mozzarella sticks deep fried in egg roll dough.
Wow.
And like dipped in a tartar sauce. It was like this cultural mashup. Their egg rolls had salsiccia sausage in them. Yeah, there was very, very far out, but really, really delicious combinations.
Wow, that sounds awesome.
That was by far
I'm skeptical.
high point. What's that?
I am skeptical.
Look, I was skeptical of the tikka masala pizza when you described it to me, Norm, but that stuff is incredible.
This was the same kind of thing, Norm. It's very similar to Zante pizza in that, like, no amount of explaining it to you makes it sound appetizing until you take a bite and you're like, wow, they totally did it.
Like the crab rangoon, I can see more than the General Tso's, I think. So
actually, the General Tso's was the best thing they had.
Wow.
It was like it was like a when you have like a sweet barbecue pizza. but the meat's cut up really small. That's sort of similar to what it was a little bit like.
Okay, that makes sense.
How is San Francisco? What is the weather like there? I'm in Kansas City right now.
We've had a little bit of rain, and it's cold. It's San Francisco cold, though. It's not really cold.
Can I tell you that it is humid and warm in Kansas City right now?
Oh, well, I mean, I guess thanks, Obama. I don't know. Is that a global warming? We had, let's see, we got a new fence up in the backyard this weekend, so that was very exciting. We've had a falling down fence here for the last year because of the winds and rain from last winter. You know, the rain got soft and the blew the fence over. So now I actually have full privacy across my entire backyard, which is a real revolution down here in Pacifica. But yeah, it's not, it's pretty, like, it's kind of quiet in the city right now. We're into that time between Thanksgiving and Christmas when people start to go off on vacation and stuff. So like there's a little less traffic and fewer people walking around. It's really nice. Yeah.
We miss you in the office, Adam, and we can't wait for you to get back. We miss you in the office and can't wait for you to get back. I know you're back in just a week. We're all itching to get to building and doing some cool shoots. I know it's a time of year when we all kind of get we're lulled into complacency because it's the end of the year, things are winding down, and I know we're not a political podcast, but there is one thing I want to mention, and that is in 9 days or so, the FCC will be voting on their attempt to repeal the net neutrality laws that were enacted in the last administration. And if there's one thing you should do, regardless of your, I think of your political affiliations, I think it's going to affect us all. You should look into how that may affect you and then do something about it. And the EFF has a great website, act.eff.org, with a lot of links on how you can learn more. Even just learning more, I think, helps a lot. But I just want to get that out there.
One of the things everyone can do is on that site, there's a phone number you can call that goes directly to the commissioner of the FCC's office. You leave a brief message saying what your name is, where you live, and whether you are for or against net neutrality. There's a lot of shenanigans around that with people kind of stuffing the ballot box in favor of repealing net neutrality.
And the FCC, by the way, is resisting the New York State Attorney General's request for more information about that, and they're calling it a politicized witch hunt. It's ridiculous.
I mean, just the only people who are in favor of repealing net neutrality are Verizon, Comcast, AT&T, and like 3 other big telecoms, right? Nobody thinks this is a good idea.
And Norm, you presaged what the next thing I was going to mention, which is on Thursday. Brain Candy will be performing in Louisville, Kentucky, and during the day that day, there is a net neutrality protest in front of Mitch McConnell's office, and I will be there, and I might be speaking if speaking is happening.
Awesome, go give them hell, man.
Absolutely.
The other thing is that the special election in Alabama is coming up. It's really important. If you think that you know what that's about, go out and read a little bit. Washington Post has good coverage of that particular election, and just vote. Please vote in that.
Please vote.
Yeah.
I think that's an excellent way to wrap this up.
Okay. See you guys next week. You're back in town for a little bit.
I am back in town for a little bit. I apologize to tested listeners of Still Untitled because I was meeting a lot of you guys at the meet and greets. Apologies for last week's lack of a podcast. It's been difficult to maintain on the road, but we'll be back next week with a in-person podcast altogether.
Ooh, very good. We'll see you then. Have a safe trip. Enjoy your travels. Enjoy the next few shows. And Norm, anything on Tested this week that's exciting?
Yeah, we have one of the final episodes of Adam's Armor Bill with Terry English, and we also visited his son. Terry's son is a model maker who scratch builds replica motorcycles, racing motorcycles, and we have a tour of his shop and his process.
Yeah,
awesome. Okay, see you guys next week. Thanks for listening.
Bye, guys.
All right, bye.
Bye.